Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, it's time for your listener questions. That's right. It's Friday. It's listener questions. We switched it up this week, so don't get confused. Pam Forrester joins me today, and we talk about, well, a listener gets to go to Disneyland and Walt Disney World in the span of a couple of weeks. What kind of challenges should she take on? What kind of touring should she take on? So we talk about that because, well, I've gotten to do that a couple of times over the past 2 years, and it is a fun experience. We also talk about a way to celebrate a family member who has passed on a recent, an upcoming trip for a guest, and we give some ideas on how to do that at Walt Disney World. This and much more coming your way on today's show. Don't forget, our podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air. We could not do this without your support. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2637 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Hope it is a super weekend for you. And if you are in Philadelphia or if you are in Kansas City, maybe it will be for you. Who knows? But if you're in the rest of the country, we're probably hating on both of your cities. No, just kidding. You're probably, I don't know. I mean, it's like I'm here, of course, in the outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri, where we have lost not only one, but two NFL franchises in my lifetime. So, yeah, we're not big NFL. Well, I shouldn't speak for the entire city. I'll just speak for 99% of us. But, when the NFL kind of packs up and leaves your city, not just once, but twice, you get a little bitter. And you might think that we're big, Kansas City Chiefs fans here because they're a Missouri team. I don't know. My daughter wears Chiefs stuff because I think she just thinks it looks cute. I don't know. And I guess some people like the Chiefs for other reasons. I'm going to go to a party on Sunday with my brother and sister-in-laws. And of course I love football. I mean, it's my jam, but I just don't know who to root for. I guess Jalen Hurts, former Tide quarterback, so maybe Eagles. I don't know. So I guess what I'm saying is my fandom can be bought. So just let me know who you cheering for. Let me know on social media. We'll see. I mean, got a three-peat going or the Eagles. I mean, again, when the mayor couldn't spell your mascot, that did not help me buying into your franchise. EALG XYZ. Can't remember how she spelled it. It was so bad. That was hilarious. Anyway, Pam Forrester, she can't contain her excitement with this listener question show and the terrible intro that I'm going with. Co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. We've made it. It's February. I mean, we're almost over this wintertime hump. It'll be March before we know it. What's up, Pam?
It is. I know. I'm so glad to be getting, some decent weather and some some sun, some of that. So I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get at this point. But I don't know if I'll be rooting or watching or anything about the Super Bowl, the big game, as all the places are calling it now.
Yeah, I don't think they chase down podcasters too much. If you say the word, I mean,
I hope not.
I doubt it. Come on, what are you gonna do? Come into my basement? Let's go. I mean.
So yeah, but I know that people get excited about it, and it's an opportunity or excuse to get together, so that's a good thing too.
It is basically it. But then after the Super Bowl, though, I'll tell you what, man, People talk about seasonal depression. That's actually after the college football national championship. That's when my wife has to kind of talk me back off a ledge because I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, there's nothing on TV. Now, thank goodness, I will say this. Thank goodness Mizzou basketball is better this year. Like, I'm not even saying it out loud. I'm super superstitious. But last year, we lost every league game. Every one. We went 0 for the SEC last year. This year, we're having a much better season. I will say that. Shout out Dennis Gates, our coach. But so there's something fun to watch on TV again with basketball. But man, I just don't know what to watch on TV because I don't watch scripted shows. This is kind of like the tough time to watch. There's not much to watch if you're Mike Rallman. Till football starts again. It's rough after Sunday. Whew.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't know. I guess I got to go to Disney, I guess. I know you're going down soon, right? You're heading down pretty soon.
I am. We're working on it, trying to get Steve at the spot where he can do all of the new things. So yeah, look, I'm excited for it, and it feels like we haven't been there in forever, and I'll take it.
Yes. Keep moving in the right direction. All right, listener questions. If you are tuned in live, which we have a lot of folks tuned in live because this is a European special live recording today, a little bit early here in the States, prime time over in Europe. And if you have, I know you're doubled up here, but two Pams, I don't know what's going on here. But if you have a question, drop it in the chat and we'll get you here on the show. But we're still good. We're good here, Pam. We're good. I love live podcasting. Stephanie's got a question, and there she goes. You're back to just a single.
Okay,
That guy, I love live podcasting. This is the greatest thing ever. So if you're just listening to the audio podcast, you're missing all the fun, man. It's like there's two Pams, there's one Pam. Anyway, Stephanie says headed to Disney for process weekend, and I'm just gonna read it as you type it. I love it. I'm guessing it's Princess, but we'll go with that. I'm not sure I understand how to use lightning lanes, Premier Pass, etc. system since I've not been in about 10 months. All right. So Pam, do you want to walk her through just a brief primer on how to use lightning lanes and Premier Pass?
Yes, I will. So lightning lanes now, what you can do when you buy lightning lanes, and you'll have the ability to do that based on where you're staying and your check-in date and all of that. You'll be able to actually secure some lightning lanes before you even leave home. That was something that people said they really liked doing. They liked that process. They liked knowing, okay, here's where I'm going to be this day, and we're going to be able to, I know for sure, hit these attractions. So you will be able to do that. There's also the ability to purchase a premium lightning lane, which is a lot more pricey than just the standard lightning lane things, but sort of gives you the ability to do lightning lanes at the parks for instead of just being limited to 3, you'll be able to do the attractions one time. So that'll be a good thing too. So I think the thing you have to really, look at, and this is sort of how I advise folks who haven't been there in a while. How important are the attractions to you? How important is it for you to get a bunch of attractions done in one day? And I think, which parks is it going to be the most important for you to have lightning lane? I think that those of us who do the podcast and who travel to Walt Disney World a lot will say probably your top couple choices for parks you want to have lightning lane are Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those offer the most opportunity. They sort of get backed up. But if you really don't want to wait in line, I think you're going to want to explore some kind of lightning lane possibility to see for your entire stay, because even having that, I think, just makes the stay for those folks who are going to be like, if you know your family's going to be like 30 minutes in line and they're going to want to be killing each other after that point in time, I think lightning lane's a good investment. But if you're a little more casual, maybe doing the attractions aren't as important, it might be something that you don't need to have. I don't know, Mike, where do you sit on this whole thing?
So a couple things. My thing with lightning lane is I would only get it like every other day or every third day to make that day feel special. And like you said, I do it for Magic Kingdom and Studios. because it's density of attractions that gives you better value with it. You can also, because you can park hop with it too. So that gives you advantage there too if you have park hopper. So think about that. But here's the thing. She's going down for Princess. Okay. So here's something to kind of to think about if you're going for a race weekend and you're running. If you got the Premier Lightning Lane, that's going to think about time on feet. If you wanted to get the value, because that is expensive, that's going to kill your legs, because I mean, you're talking, if you took advantage of that and you're going to want to take advantage for what you're paying, you're probably going to be investing. I mean, you got to think about the equity and like walkability that day in whatever park you go. You're probably going to be spending 15,000 steps, at least a minimum. I mean, because even though it's a premier experience, you have to walk to get to every experience that you're going to do. There's no, even though they're backdooring you in things, I mean, geographically, you have to walk the park a bunch. So I don't know if you want to do it like as a celebration, maybe like on the Monday after the race, possibly, but maybe you're tired then. I would say to not look at that as on a race weekend. Maybe that's more of a vacation trip kind of thing. I would book Lightning Lane, just a standard Lightning Lane, but maybe like every other day or every third day, and, you know, take it easy every other day or 2/3 of the days. I think it's kind of like it's a sprinkle to kind of make those other days a little bit more manageable. So kind of that's how I see Lightning Lane.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good thing. And I think what is so important to note is, first of all, you don't have to buy any if you don't want to. Disney really has a few different options. You can not buy any. You can buy Lightning Lane, or you can buy the Premier one. So that you sort of have different levels of things depending on what is important to you.
All right, here's a question from Natalie in the inbox. She says, can you guys explain the difference between the cabins at Fort Wilderness and the Copper Creek cabins? I'm a Disney veteran, but I still get confused on these. So Pam, we have the new, we'll talk her through it then. Let's go.
So over at Fort Wilderness, they actually, I'm going to add something else to complicate it even more.
The one bedroom
they
BBC
actually
units.
Have two different kinds of cabins. They have these new cabins that they have created that have a new design. They are not the standard log cabins that you remember seeing and still can see, because those are still there. They have a different layout. I think it's a better layout, but each of the different cabins have a kitchen area, which is going to be, I think, one of the big draws for folks. Over at the Wilderness Lodge, they have the Copper Creek cabins, and these are little standalone individual cabins that have 2 bedrooms. They have a kitchen, they have a living room area, they have a hot tub that's in a screened in porch right outside the back. These are some of the pricier accommodations on Disney property. So if you're getting confused and you're not sure which is which, look at that price point. And the Copper Creek cabins are always going to be really more expensive, but they're spectacular.
Spectacular. They are spectacular. I got to stay.
They are. They're a really fun place to stay.
Yes. I mean, thebomb.com. They're pretty sweet. Alfred's here, and shout out to Alfred, says, how's the 70th going to be different from the other celebrations at Disneyland? I know one of the big things we mentioned this on Wednesday, they're bringing back one of the most popular nighttime parades ever, and it's not the Main Street Electrical Parade. It is not Spectral Magic. It is Paint the Night. It's coming back this summer. I think in May. I think in April, maybe. It's I'll check the dates. I don't know.
It's awesome.
Really, I've never seen it. I mean, I got to go out and see it. I've never seen it.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite parades. I just really like it. And it's lit up at night. It's just so cool, and something that you really want to see. They're doing all kinds of things. They're also coming up with Wondrous Journeys. That is the fireworks spectacular that you're going to see. There's going to be all kinds of different limited time entertainment. World of Color is going to get a new look. So it'll be World of Color Happiness. It'll be a new show. Of course, they're still going to have the Pixar Pals Parade. Why is everything just a tongue twister, man?
Especially with P's out there.
Oh,
Pixar Pier, and
golly.
then Pixar Place Hotel. I know there's a lot of P's. I
I
think
know.
for podcasters, I want to make sure you got your screen going on your microphone. So
For sure. They're also going to have other little smaller entertainment things that are new, like there'll be a new cavalcade. Mickey and Friends Celebrate Happy will be going on. They're also going to be doing some projection shows on It's a Small World. And of course, Mickey and Minnie will probably have new
oh
outfits. I
yeah.
mean, let's be honest, this is going to be a big celebration. I think it's just a great way to celebrate not just only the Disneyland park, but they're hoping to celebrate some of Walt in there. So lots of good stuff going on there. This is not a celebration you want to miss, probably.
What do you think of World of Color? Like, is that like where do you rate that as far as nighttime spectaculars? Is that like a must do for you? Does that get up there for you with like Happily Ever After or Luminous or Phantasmic? Like, where do you? Because I mean, it's a different show.
It
There's
is.
really no fireworks. I mean, where do you land on World of Color, like in general?
I really enjoy World of Color. I think one of the things I that we tend to do with World of Color is we do the dessert
Yep.
party because we get seats. We're guaranteed to have seats. You get a great view. You get to have some desserts. You get a couple of drinks. It's for me. This is one of the Disney bargains. I mean, and it's hard to say that when you're paying that much for desserts, but you get a ton of desserts. Like we've never even come close to eating everything that they bring to us. They'll give you a little to go box and we end up taking, it back to the room, but it really is. And I think just having the seats, I think is a big plus for that too. So I like it. I think it's a different kind of show, but I think it always has a great soundtrack. It
Yes.
always incorporates so many good moments, and you often hear Walt's voice in it, and all of those things just make for a really heartwarming show.
When they put Walt's voice in a nighttime spectacular, dude, stop,
Boom.
stop. I know. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm here in front of thousands of people. Why are you wrecking me like that? They should come out with a warning like 5 minutes before the show, like,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, this show will include Walt Disney's voice. You have 5 minutes to clear the area if you are going to be an emotional wreck. Thank you.
It's true. If I were an Imagineer, that would be all I would do. I'd be like, can we add Walt's voice to this
Yeah,
somehow? Or
exactly. Would you?
can we do a Walt quote here? Or do we have a piece of Walt memorabilia? Like, and they would be like, we don't want to see Forrester anymore because she doesn't have any good ideas. All she wants to do is add Walt to stuff.
If you did that warning, you would see all the Disney nerds like it'd be like a 5K sprint. It'd be like, oh, great, no, they're gonna do Walt's voice.
Right?
They're gonna run. I cannot be within earshot of this show. I'll get made fun of.
Crazy.
Let's
Is.
see here. Okay, William's got a question here in the inbox, and it says, "Hello, BOGB crew. My wife, 10-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter, and I have plans to return to Disney World for a week for spring break, and we're staying at the boardwalk. This will be our third time going there in 3 years, and I'm looking for tips on how to slow down. We've had a blast on our last 2 trips doing so many extras like Hoop-de-Doo, Bibbidi-Bobbidi Boutique, fireworks cruises and dining packages, character dining, lightsaber making, droid making, caring for giants, up close with rhinos, behind the seeds, and probably more that I'm not thinking of right now. So they've done all that stuff, but they want to slow down. Tips. First of all, the boardwalk pool is primo. I like
Yeah.
that. It's pool time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the best ways to always slow down on your Disney's vacation is take some time to actually enjoy your resort. And I always say this is something, you're spending a chunk of money on and you want to be able to enjoy it. So make sure that when you get there, you check out the activities that are going to be available at your resort. Many offer like arts and crafts, but they're not just arts and crafts for kids. Like you can do these like create these tiles. Sometimes they do painting, all of those things, but make sure you check them out there And you can also check them out at the other resorts, which you're staying next to, which is the Yacht and Beach Club too, because you'll be able to enjoy most of their recreational activities too. Not their pool, but their recreational activities. The other thing is the boardwalk has had, and I believe still has it, they actually have a resort tour of the boardwalk. I've done it a couple times.
Really? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yes, it is fantastic. They tell you all kinds of different things about the boardwalk. I love it. It's just one of my favorite things to do there. Because you're at the boardwalk, you're also going to have access to all those boardwalk entertainers
Mhm.
on select nights, and there are some good ones. So do that, and also Movie Under the Stars. I think there's no better way to relax and slow down and enjoy than Movie Under the Stars. And between you and me, you've probably seen these movies because there's most of them are Disney movies. But there's just
Unless you're
something
me.
about
Every time I go down there, I'm like,
You're
that's
right,
that's a
unless
movie
you're
I've
right.
never seen. I'm like, holy cow, The Little Mermaid. Never. No, I've
Yes.
seen that one. I'm just kidding.
All of them.
Exactly.
Yes, but do that because it is so fun. There's something about seeing a Disney movie while you're at a Disney destination that I think makes it even more special. Grab some popcorn, grab some snacks, go sit there and enjoy. While you're at it, go ahead and do the marshmallow roasting because, hello, that's just fun. I mean, who doesn't love marshmallow roasting? The other things I would do is spend some time at Disney Springs. Again, there are great entertainments there, entertainer and entertainment there in the evening. It's worth going to do that. Enjoy a leisurely dinner. If you have the dining plan again, there's lots of great places to use it there. And I think, one of the easier ways to slow down too is just by not going into the parks. I think that by virtue of not being in the parks, you don't really feel compelled. So maybe you have a day to like set aside on your check-in day. You know that you're going to get free entrance to a water
Yep.
park.
Yep.
So that you can do. If you have a package, you're also going to have the ability to get free mini golf during certain times. So you may want to check that out too. But just try some of the outdoor park activities. I know that you've done a bunch of the tours, but there's more to explore for sure.
And with that Disney Springs day, with those kids that age, like 10 and 6, and you mentioned being at Disney Springs, have dinner at Splitsville, but go bowling. Like, I mean, I know you have bowling alleys back home, right? But we never go bowling back home. In Splitsville, like, it has a cool vibe. Like, it's just fun. The balls are cool. The lanes like glow in the dark. And
yes,
I'm telling you what, the food rock. Your kids are gonna love the food. They have great pizzas. They have great sandwiches.
They have good sushi.
The sushi, yeah. I mean, they have great. I mean, you're gonna get a great meal, but you're gonna have a blast. There's bowl a couple games. I mean, just have fun. It'd be a fun night out. It's totally chill. And you like if a game's on, if you like sports, there's a billion TVs in there. It's a cool place. All right, Ashley has a question. Hey, Mike and Peeps. Due to a magnificent conference timing this winter, I get the privilege of going to Disneyland for 2 days in February, then Disney World the following week. Bam. All right, where can I apply? I get to do that sometimes. I'm not.
Yeah,
See, I'm talking to Pam. I can't say that. I get to do this kind of stuff all the time. I only have 3 park days at Disney World, but I have a park hopper pass. I don't think I could skip a park, so I'll find a way to visit all 4 parks. Unpopular opinion. Hollywood Studios is my least favorite park out of all 6 that I'm visiting, yet Fantasmic is my favorite nighttime show. Well, see, that's why we have that for our intro, just for Ashley. While I've been to both resorts several times, I've never been to both so close together. Is there anything you'd recommend as a fun challenge or focus, such as riding attractions or eating at certain places to get a true comparison, or avoiding all the duplicates to only do unique things? Looking forward to some sunshine in February, Ashley. So she's getting ready to go coast to coast without running the races. So what would you do if you had this? Because you've probably done this. I mean, like close together. How do you like attack this? I did this. Actually, recently.
I know there are certain attractions that I feel that exist in both parks that I have to do. And I had to do them at both locations. I really, for instance, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
it is one of my favorite attractions at Walt Disney World, and I like it just a smidge better at Disneyland
Mhm.
because there are a few scenes there that you don't get at the world version. Haunted Mansion, they're similar and yet different. So you have to try that one out. It's a Small World. Again, similar but different. There are a
But
few.
closed right now. It
Oh,
lands, so you can't do that. So you don't have to worry about that.
okay. So sorry, but you won't be able to
Womp
do that
womp.
one. But
Yep.
when you get the chance in the future, make sure you do it because they're different. And there's actually another scene at Disneyland that's not at World. And every time I see that scene, I'm like, why is that not at Disney World? I don't understand it. I think the thing that you're going to want to look at is definitely dining because the dining's very different at World and Land. Mike and I were talking about that a little before we started. There's a lot less table service restaurants at Disneyland when compared to Walt Disney World. There are more, I think, unique dining locations at Disneyland or places where they offer something that you don't see all over the parks. And that's worth checking into too. And again, as we talked about before, if you have the opportunity to park hop at Disneyland, I think you're definitely going to want to do that. There's just so much. I don't know, Mike, what do you do about the attractions that sort of overlap that are at both World and Land?
Well, my thing about Disneyland is I make sure that I rope here. Plus, if you're coming from anywhere that's not in the Pacific time zone, you're at such an advantage to rope drop Disneyland because you're fresh. Like my first morning, man, I was up like, dude, let's go. Like 8 o'clock. Like, come on, man. I'm ready to go. Like I was up way, I was like, let's shoot the gun and start the race, man. I'm ready to get in that park because, I'm from Central time zone. And especially you guys in the Eastern time zone. I don't know how you do it. Like you gotta be like, it's lunchtime before they're even opening the park. Like, let's go. So you get in there and I'd go directly to Fantasyland in Disneyland because I think everybody needs to, if you have 2 days at Disneyland, one of those mornings has to be Fantasyland rope drop. I think there's no better Disney theme park experience. And I got this because this is the first thing we did on my first trip to Disneyland in 2022 that summer. This is just where we happened to go is you have to go directly to Fantasyland because the density of those attractions, you can do like Peter Pan, Toad, Pinocchio, and Snow White. They're just all right there. And you got the carousel you can do, and you can do Alice. You can do the teacups. You can do the Storybook Canal boats. All that stuff is within, I mean, like you're just literally walking off one thing onto the next. But here's the other thing is that in the morning there, in that first hour, while you're like, this is where you turn into like a 10-year-old kid again. I mean, this happened to me this past weekend again. Like I was there. You don't need Lightning Lane. You don't need any of that stuff. You don't even need to think. You just do whatever you want because the crowds are not there that first hour. I don't care what day it is. You don't think about touring plans or anything. Everything's 5 minutes or less. You just get on it, except Peter Pan kind of backs up. That's the only thing. But while you're doing all this, like, I literally bumped into Gaston just walking through Fantasyland. There's a band playing, walking through Fantasyland, like like a 10-person like brass band. Bert from Mary Poppins is dancing with them with like an umbrella, doing his moves. I mean, it's like you're walking through a dang movie. It is so wild. Like Fantasyland in the morning is not, if you're any kind of a Disney fan, it literally like you cannot, I mean, Alice was walking with the Mad Hatter like at one point, and then Pinocchio was over by the one of that teacup where you get your picture taken. I mean, it is like it's like a Disney commercial, at least for like the first 90 minutes. It is wild. And you can just run around those attractions in Fantasyland. Like World, it's a little bit more spread out, right? It's almost like two halves. And you got, like the old Fantasyland, new Fantasyland, stuff like that. It's like so dense right there. Even if you're not doing the attractions, which I'm a nut. Like I love the Pinocchio ride. I love the Snow White ride. And I love Toad. I probably did Toad 10 times this past weekend. And, but it's just being in that atmosphere and taking it in. So I would do that. And like Pam said, snacks. Like try the different kinds of beignets. Like there's honey drizzled beignets at Tiana's place that you can, or Palace, you can mobile order. They were rocking. You got to get the regular beignets, the powdered sugar ones. You got to shake the bag from the mint julep bar. You got to get those rocking. You know, but you got to just go around and try all this thing. You got to get your corn dog from the Little Red Wagon, and you know, just take advantage of that stuff while you're out there. And then the old standbys at World, you know, we talk about that all the time, but yeah, but what I would focus on is like the Alice, the Toad, the stuff you can't do at World when you're at land, and then vice versa when you get to World, the stuff that's unique down there. You know, I wouldn't duplicate. Like, here's the thing, you know, my hot take, I've never stepped foot in Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland except for the races, and I've been there 5 times. Why? I've been there so much at World. It's the exact same thing. I mean, do you? I've never 5 trips. I've never gone to Galaxy's Edge once.
We typically go in, but it is not a place that we spend a lot of time at by any means. I actually prefer, I think, World a little more to land in there. First of all, World oftentimes doesn't feel quite as busy as it does at land. And I don't know. I just feel as if World, where it is at World, it makes sense to me. And land, it almost doesn't. And I know that they have a limitation of space out there that's hard to overcome. But for some reason, where World is, you actually feel very removed from the rest of the park. And it sort of feels like its own park almost. And it kind of feels different at Disneyland.
I think too, the reason I don't do it at Disneyland is I feel like my time is like more sacred at Disneyland. Like, and I don't have anything against it. I mean, I've run through it a bunch of times now in the races, right? And I've seen it, and it's just as gorgeous, you know, at Disneyland. Yeah. It looks great, but it's, you know, Smuggler's Run is going to be exactly the same Smuggler's Run that I've done at Walt Disney World. And I'm sure Rise of the Resistance, even though they've just done some updates, they just reopened it actually this past week with the turret guns and stuff like that. But I've done it a bunch of times at World, and I would just rather, I'm just an ambiance like guy. Like I would rather take that time and do the canoes. I mean, as weird as that is, I'd rather do the canoes in the Mark Twain in the Columbia sailing ship when it was down, but you know, do that and, you know, just hang out at Hungry Bear and just like be in New Orleans Square, just walk those streets and I just feel like I don't get to Disneyland enough that I'm just not a big fan of like exact duplicate experiences. When I get to World enough that if I want to do that stuff, I'll do that at World where I have an annual pass. I only get to go to Disneyland once a year if I'm lucky. So I'm not going to spend that time there because, you know, time's it's commodity and you got to spend it wisely.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Enjoy though. You're going to enjoy both. I think being able to see them so close together, it is a really cool experience. And just to be able to make, you know, note to yourself, this is different. This is better. I like this, you know, all of that. And just take it all in. Enjoy.
All right, let's get to the last question today. It is from listener Rebecca. She says, hello, my mom and I are going to Disney for 3 nights and 2 park days in February. Thanks for helping us get our trip booked. Thank you so much, Rebecca. This trip is special because it's my mom's first time back at Disney since my dad's unexpected passing last year. I'm sorry to hear that, Rebecca. We'll be thinking of you. Disney was absolutely his favorite place on the planet. We're going to Epcot and to the Magic Kingdom. I'd like to plan something special for us while we're there. We have a budget of about $300 for this. Mom isn't a huge foodie, so a nice supper is not really up her alley. I was thinking about a dessert party, but we have done those before. We also have already done a capture your moment session, so that's not quite right either. Any other ideas for something special? Thanks for all you do, Rebecca. Okay, so not a nice meal or not capture your moment was what I was thinking of initially. But what else might we think of something special to kind of celebrate together, mom and daughter, here on this special trip?
So you know what I might do? I might visit one of the Arribas Brothers location, either in the park or at Disney Springs, and have something special made and personalized. You can do all different kinds of things there. You could do an ornament, of course, but then you can also do something that's more expensive. They typically have like crystal ears that you could personalize. They have other gift items, but it might be something that you can get one for you and your mom to sort of commemorate this trip or commemorate, your dad somehow, something like that that you could bring out and you could look at. I think things like that are really, really meaningful. The thing I will say is make sure that you do it at the beginning of your trip because sometimes it takes a few days to have that personalization done. And that might be something that you want to look into. But they have beautiful things there at the Erebus Brothers. And I think it might just be nice to have something that you could like hold in your hand too to commemorate. I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
I was trying to think of something that I saw at Disneyland, and they actually have a store for this, and I think they still do these at World on Main Street. Now, this is totally not going to spend $300. This is the cheapo in me, but I thought they were so cool because I remember these from my childhood. Do they still do the silhouettes at World?
They do, yeah.
And I know that's kind of a thing that like kids do, but I mean, what a keepsake, right? I mean, it's just something that's like classic and fun. And I mean, a mother-daughter trip. I saw adults doing them on Main Street, and they said they've been doing those since 1955. And it sounds like your dad was, or the father here was like a very Disney parks kind of nostalgic person. And that would be like a very personal thing from this trip, but it's also kind of a piece of like nostalgia that Disney's been doing these things for so long. And it's again, it's like we said, like with this, it's like a one of one, and it's like, it's not going to be duplicated. It's from that trip. It's personalized to you two. And, it's very Disney, but it's also very just you two from that trip. But it's definitely not, you could, you're going to end up with $270 left over. But, again, I don't know. You could go do something else, and again, you're not a foodie, but you could, go get cupcake and ice cream or something, or a bunch of times over, but you don't have to spend it all. But that'd be something I thought that'd be cute, like to have. I don't, because I saw a lot of people that were, I did a lot of people watching. Like when I was out at Disneyland this past weekend, I did the omnibus for the first time because listener Marco told me you got to ride the omnibus. It's a cool way because I'd never done the Main Street vehicles. And he's like, you got to do it. It's a cool way to see the park. I was like, well, I'm here. I have nothing else to do. So I got on an omnibus. And he's right. And we're going down Main Street, and I saw the people because there's actually a little shop on Main Street at Disneyland for the silhouettes. And I saw a couple coming out looking at it was like an older couple too. They were looking at their silhouettes and they were just grinning, they're grinning at their little silhouettes. And I'm like, that makes me happy. Like, are they going to, and I'm thinking, here's me like telling the story to my head. Like, are they going to take that home and get it framed and put it in the living room, or what are they going to do with that? Like, but it was making them like, they're on Main Street, USA. They're at Disneyland, like world famous Disneyland park. It was a Sunday night. And they're holding a silhouette, and they're like a couple that is just happy. Like they're just in their happy place. And it just made me happy to see that. So I would love, them to have that kind of joy, hopefully that give them that memory.
For sure. And you know what? Probably with their budget, they can probably do both of the things that we suggested, have some things to take home, and then, just enjoy the time. I think if there was a special place that your dad really liked, I think setting aside some time to spend there and think about him and remember all the fun that you had there. It's all about the memories that you make. We're never sure how long we're going to have to make those memories. So like Mike has said for the past couple of podcasts, make sure that you take the opportunity. And I'm so glad that you are.
All right. Just hope you have a wonderful trip. That's the, and Pam, we've talked about this so many times. We talk about this at the agency, but we're close friends, and we talk about this personally many times, is that, we are so blessed to get to do what we do, right? We get to, think about what we get to do. We get to help people plan trips to Walt Disney World. We get to help people plan trips to Disneyland, take Disney cruises. These are the best days of everyone's lives. These are, you don't count down to get to go to work. You don't count you don't have a timer, like a countdown timer on your social media, like, oh, there's 72 days till I go to, tax day or whatever, but you do have a countdown to the day you get to go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland, and we get to help you plan that trip. So that is very cool. But there's also so many variables. Like when I help people plan these trips, I just want every one of my guests to have the best time ever. But when the day comes, there's so many variables out there. I hope the weather's good for them, and I can't control that. I hope that the flight's good. I can't control that. I hope there's no delays. I hope that, you're feeling well when you get down there. But, again, we always hope that through the podcast, we give you tips and stories and just kind of the tools to put into your tool belt in the back of your mind to help you maybe avoid the crowds or give you ideas to have some good meals or, to kind of zig where everybody else is zagging. But, I think when you get down there, if you just kind of take a deep breath, these places, and what I always say, with running races too, I try to tell myself, let the race come to me. Don't try to force the race. Just take a deep breath and just run the race and let it come to you. But I think that's for your vacation too, right? Just get there. I'm here. It's arrived. And don't try to force the vacation. Don't say, I got to stick to this plan. It's going to happen. Just say, I'm here and we're just going to have a good time being together as a family. Or even if you're solo, I'm just here and I'm going to enjoy this environment. I think that's the best advice I can give everybody, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're so fortunate that we get to be involved in some of the best times of people's lives.
Absolutely.
I mean, truly, to be involved in that, to be able to have play a small part in that is a privilege. And I know that we all feel that way, that we're just so appreciative that you all trust us with being your partner in planning. So we appreciate it. And thank you all.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here and wish you a super weekend. And again, hope your team wins. So you're going with a bird, you're going with the other team, whatever you're doing, good luck. I'll be hovering over the nachos on Sunday evening and
protecting them
at all costs. Like a good safety, I'll be in cover 2. Just staying right there and intercepting anybody who comes close. All right. Don't forget our shows are brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you get your next Disney adventure going. Today's the day. Let's make it happen. Just swing by themagicforless.com. No additional cost. Great advice, fun tips, all the good stuff. Check it out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. When you do that online shopping, you can do that during halftime if you want. And also, big shout out to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air. We could not do this without your support. $5 a month is all it takes. And you get a bonus show for that support every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give us a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And Pam is at TMFLT Pam. Give her a follow as well. More importantly, we'll see you over in the clubhouse, 24/7 Disney Talk, Live Talk. We have such a great time over there. Live updates from the Disney parks over there, pictures, talk, and all that good stuff. So come on over, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. No live show Sunday night because of the big game, but we'll be back a week from Sunday with lots of calls and lots of fun there. All right. So until we get back together on Monday, you guys have a wonderful weekend. So for Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.